PMF therapy, which stands for pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. You know, an astronaut could lose 20-30% of their bone density as well in one mission. The astronauts used it as the quickest way to restore their bone health. And they use PMF to do this as a way to safely, quickly restore bone health.
What would you say then some of the key areas that or key things that you learned on having that business there, or running a business, not necessarily in South Africa, but running a business?
I'd say the number one thing that served us well was building relationships and trust. No trust, no transaction.
So yeah, what would you say is sort of the long-term vision for OsteoStrong?
Ideally, we want to see an OsteoStrong in all the big towns in the UK so that people have access to this technology.
Is there any other way that they could perhaps adopt a routine in a gym, or adopt a certain way of eating or diet or food or anything like that that would have a same or similar effect? So Ryan, thank you so much for coming and working on it. I appreciate you taking the time to come down and have this conversation. Thank you. So Ryan, talk us through your journey. How did you go from architecture to lighting to now OsteoStrong? Take us back to the beginning.
Yeah, Brad. So it's a great story. So basically, when we immigrated from South Africa to the UK just over 4 years ago now, we decided we wanted to, my wife and I, to do something new, something impactful, and something purposeful. And she's always been in the health and wellness business, and for me, it's something that I've always been passionate about. Finding ways to stay strong, stay young, and I've always been trying different biohacks to achieve that goal. And then we, just by luck, we were introduced to OsteoStrong by some good friends in Texas. We spent some time with them, and they told us about it, and they'd had really good results doing OsteoStrong. So that's how the journey began.
So what about the years that you had, is it Triac Lighting?
Yes.
Was that in the South African business?
Yeah, Triac was my South African business. Yeah.
How was that, like, from a business aspect, kind of like from the journey there, like about 15 years or so?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how was that with your journey, sort of like from a business entrepreneurial kind of day-to-day running of managing a business? How was it? And also in South Africa, like, what's the culture like and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so literally just started that business on my own in my flat with a fax machine.
Yeah. A fax machine, wow.
With a fax machine.
We're showing our age.
Yeah, exactly. And that business just grew organically, also from a love for architecture and lighting. Wow. And technology, kind of bringing all of those three things together in a way that we could really be in a niche space that was growing really quickly, and offer a really specialized technology and service in lighting control. It became lighting control, which gave us the opportunity to be more specialized and really grow in a very specific niche.
And what was sort of like running a business like in South Africa? This is more my personal question, this actually, because you hear sort of like good and bad points. Like, what's it like running a business there? Like, is it encouraging? Is it sort of like boundaries or restricting? What would you say?
Yeah, Brad, I would say, there's lots of opportunity in South Africa because it's a developing country. So there, I think if you can find something that is quite niche, or something where you can compete with the government.
Oh, okay,
You can do really well.
Yeah.
And that's still true today, I would say. Mm. But certainly it has its challenges because there are some things that work against you there. More recently, things like power outages are a very common occurrence.
Oh, especially lighting.
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
Yeah, so everyone, finds a workaround eventually because you don't have a choice really.
I think that's an entrepreneurial spirit, I think. You always find have a can-do attitude, don't you, to find a way around it.
That definitely helps.
Yeah.
So most businesses will have a generator backup or solar system backup these days as a workaround. So you've got to be, you've got to kind of work through those things, but I would say, it's a great country to do business because people are there's a real entrepreneurial spirit in South Africa, and people are really keen to push ahead. And I think that's why a lot of great businesses originate in South Africa. And Trike is still today a great business. It's being run by a fantastic entrepreneur by the name of Rian, who's still that business is still flourishing today, thanks to him.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like your legacy in a sense, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Really proud of that business.
So
it's done really well over the years, and we've done some incredible projects, and yeah, great that it's still thriving today.
Excellent. That's amazing. I didn't even know that. I didn't even come up. That's brilliant. That's the first time I heard that. That's excellent. What would you say then? Some of the key areas key things that you learned on having that business there, or running a business, not necessarily in South Africa, but running a business. Like, what would you say were some of the key elements or skills that you've picked up during that time?
Yeah, I would say, Brad, I'd say the number one thing that served us well was building relationships and trust. No trust, no transaction.
I'm laughing because it's just so true. It's just so true. But sorry.
So we over many years we developed relationships with architects, engineers, builders, and then they learn to trust you, that you'll deliver on time, and that you can actually make it happen. So we built a great team as well. That's the other thing I would say that really set us up for success, was just surrounding yourself with the right people with the right skills and different skills. So we were a small team, but we could accomplish a lot as a small team, having people that were, I think, believed in the vision and understood that everyone was very capable in their roles, and that also served us really well.
I think when you touch on the size of the team, I think what's really powerful is having everybody aligned and heading in the right way, the same vision. Everyone's on that bus, so to speak. And I think the power of that is just absolutely immense, because when you've got a group of people that you're working with, or your environment isn't quite aligned with what you're trying to achieve, you get so much more resistance, which of course then slows you right down in that journey. So it's really quite powerful, those three key areas that you've learned, like relationship, trust, and team. Because I think, so we're talking like 15 or so, or 20 years ago, I suppose now, that you've had that. And I think it's even stronger today, those three key elements are even stronger today than ever before, because I think that with the whole AI element, people are kind of want to connect, sort of to humans rather more so now ever than before. And with that human element of trust, relationship, and then of course team, community, I think it's more powerful. So isn't it funny you had that sort of like 20 years ago, and it's even more powerful now, It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
I love people businesses, where you can actually get out, meet people, be on site, making a difference, where people, you can actually see things, people appreciating what you're doing, and vice versa. So those kind of businesses really appeal to me.
That's crazy. Crazy that we're talking about something that you learned 20 years ago and it's even stronger now. It's crazy. But so
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's it. So when did you realise that? So we're kind of fast forwarding a bit now. When did you realise that perhaps you got attracted or got introduced to OsteoStrong, or did you kind of have anything happen to you that you think, okay, I need to venture down this path? Like what led you down that path in the first place to discover OsteoStrong?
Yeah, so I grew up racing motocross and had my fair share of broken bones on that journey. So I learned about bones the hard way. And it always amazed me, that bones could repair themselves. It always felt like a broken bone, like when you actually had a fracture, like it never felt like it would ever heal. So I learned that bones are living, breathing organs, like your heart or your lungs or anything else.
Yeah.
And so I had new respect for bones.
Yeah.
And because I always healed remarkably well. And then when we discovered OsteoStrong, it kind of reminded me about some of those experiences. And then when we discovered OsteoStrong, those friends of ours had really good results. She had reversed her osteoporosis doing OsteoStrong, and he had basically reversed his osteoarthritis doing that. And I then just had the onset of osteoarthritis in my left knee as a result of one of those injuries. And so I was looking at ways to improve my situation. And then when we got back to the UK, there wasn't an OsteoStrong here. And then Tony Robbins was having an event in Birmingham around the same time. And the entire OsteoStrong team were going to be at the Tony Robbins event in Birmingham. So it was a good opportunity for us to meet them, be at the Tony Robbins event, because Tony Robbins is a big advocate of OsteoStrong and an investor. And so we took that opportunity to meet the CEO and the management team, and we realized they were looking for a good partner in the UK. And we realized that this was a business where we could be purposeful, make a big impact. And as I say, for my wife, it was a continuation of her career in health and wellness. And I could step into that business. And also, we could team up and use our strengths to bring OsteoStrong to the UK.
So Tony Robbins, is he like, is it ambassador or just an investor?
Both, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So where did that connection come from then, do you know?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So Tony Robbins is a massive guy.
He's a big guy.
And,
he's a big guy.
He's a big guy, and he's a strong guy. For those events he runs, he has to be super strong. And he kept injuring himself at gym, tore his rotator cuff and this and that. And then him and his coach realized that if they could do isometric holds, he could get really good results but not get injured. And then he discovered OsteoStrong and realized that that was the same principle applied to holding high force under tension for a short interval. You're not prone to injury, but you can get really good results. And then he tried OsteoStrong and realized, wow, he could use these specialized devices designed to do exactly that at home and get really good results and not be at risk of injury. And then, so he put a full set of these devices in his home and got very involved with the business.
Wow, that's quite. So who discovered OsteoStrong then? Like, how do you go about discovering this sort of thing? Because like when you said about like bones, I'm like, okay, you do muscles and your cardio and your strength and all that sort of thing, but no one ever really thinks about that core structure of the bone structure. You think it's just there and it just happens. Yeah. But I always assume that sort of like the tendons and the muscles around the bones, they're the ones that keep it strong. But is that not right? Or is it as well as?
Well, there's the way the science works, and in the medical profession, this is known as Wolff's law, that if your skeletal system is exposed to enough force and impact, that's what builds bone. And without that, your bones just decondition. Similar to muscles. If they don't have the right activation, they simply decondition. So bones are the same. Wow. So what wasn't understood, so Wolff's law has been understood for over 100 years, but what wasn't understood was how much force was needed for this adaptation to occur and for how long, for what is the duration, and how you could apply these forces safely. So there's a biomedical engineer in the US by the name of Dr. John Jacquish, who's quite famous now in his own right. And his mother had osteoporosis. And he understood those principles, smart guy, and realized and found a way that you could apply these forces. And in fact, the first studies were done in the UK by Dr. Kevin Deere. And he worked out how much force was required. And Dr. John Jacquish worked out how to apply these forces using a very specific device. And these devices allowed you to apply these high levels of force, impact levels of force, and to stimulate your body to lay down new bone. And then they realized that you could build incredible muscle strength, you could build great joint strength and bone strength using this method. And John Jacquish reversed his mother's osteoporosis over 18 months completely, from severe osteoporosis to normal bone health. And they realized that they had just made this breakthrough discovery.
Just by sort of like holding a certain pressure or weight for a certain amount of time, but I guess it's enhanced with this machinery that you mentioned, right?
Yeah. So the way the program works is people come for a session once a week.
Yeah.
They only need 15 minutes for a session, and then you'll apply these short intervals of high force loading. On these machines, you're much stronger than you are doing traditional exercise.
Right. Like in weights in the gym or something like that kind of thing.
Yeah. So in that 15 minute session, you're probably only applying maybe 60 seconds of effort in total.
Okay.
But it's enough to create this stimulus, which then creates this natural adaptation that you build this incredible strength.
I mean, that's quite incredible, like to have that discovery as well, isn't it? I mean, so did he test it on his mother, I guess? She was probably the test dummy in a sense, you know, and it obviously worked. Thankfully it worked.
Yeah, totally.
But so have you had any experience like of yourself of sort of like seeing those results, like personally? What would you say of your journey in this kind of, I don't know, project or investment?
Yeah, Brad. So, you know, that osteoarthritis in my left knee was a real issue for me.
Right.
So, and I would say after doing OsteoStrong for just over a year, I had no pain in my left knee anymore because I thought I was in for a knee replacement sort of any time.
Yeah.
And yeah, today I've got zero pain. I've got full mobility on my leg. I can walk any distance and I can run short distances. And in a year and a half ago, I was in a world of pain. And I thought I was, as I say, in for a knee replacement. And now, honestly, it feels like I've got a new knee. So I've seen really good results. And strength-wise, I would say I'm stronger now than I was 10 years ago.
That's crazy.
Doing this. Yeah, your body responds really quickly to high levels of force. Yeah. And, you know, you can create obviously high levels of force doing traditional exercise, but it's much harder.
Yeah.
And you expose yourself to a lot of stress and strain through that as well. So a lot of athletes use OsteoStrong to fortify their joints, and a lot of them hit a plateau, and very often that is just their bone strength limiting their muscle strength, and then they realize the only way that they can break through that barrier is to improve their bone strength. So a lot of them do OsteoStrong for that reason.
Oh wow, that's quite incredible, isn't it? Because you think, like, you see these little increments, don't you, when you're in the gym, you're like benching whatever it is or lifting whatever it is, and you go on that journey. But then, like you say, the numbers start to slow right up.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's because of in most cases, the bone strength then?
Yeah. Their bone strength becomes their new limitation at some point.
Wow.
And then they've got to find a way to improve bone strength to improve their muscle strength.
So it's because I don't know if you remember, like a couple of years ago, when you go into a gym, you would see the guys on the deadlift rack and you'd see them on the bench press, etc. And then you'd see the ladies on the stair machine or, you know, like something along those sort of lines. But now when you go into the gym, it's reversed. You see the women on the squat racks.
Yeah.
So it's almost like everyone's getting stronger now.
Yeah.
So it's almost like everyone's really appreciating the power of resistance training, but for muscle.
Yes.
But obviously with the bone thing, it's sort of like another level, isn't it, really?
It is. It's another layer.
Kind of like, so would you incorporate, this isn't replacing anything, is it? This is
exactly.
Isn't it? Right, yeah.
100%, Brad. Yeah. This is just something you want to add on to whatever you're doing already, because it really augments all the other things you're doing. So, you know, if you're a runner, your running is going to be that much better and you'll be that much less prone to injury. If you're going to gym, you're going to be very strong, much stronger in the gym than what you were.
Yeah.
Like if I look at my boys, they're teens, and they are becoming incredibly strong through this. You know, they're lifting weights that are much heavier than what they should be lifting because they've fortified their bodies. They've built a very strong foundation through doing this. So definitely, you know, bone health is something that we understand a lot better now than what we used to, and we hit peak bone mineral density at around the age of 30. And then we're all losing between 1% and 2% per year. So that creeps up on us. Yeah. And for women, that's way more severe because they will lose often double that through menopause. So by the end when they reach their, once they're post-menopause, very often they could have lost 20% of their bone density, which is obviously significant.
Because I was going to ask, is it the same results for male or female, or does it matter? Does it not matter? Is it kind of, do they react in different ways? But I guess from a negative point of view, or sort of like what you're losing, the women are sort of like losing it at a faster rate because of that.
Yeah. So men eventually do suffer the same, where we're all heading towards osteoporosis.
Yeah.
If you looked at a graph, it's slightly different. For women, that drop off at 30. For women, that's accelerated through menopause. For men, we maintain that for much longer. But when we hit about 65, 70, we experience that same quite sharp drop off.
Yeah.
So for men, it only becomes more urgent later. For women, it becomes very urgent much earlier.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've got, diagnosing me now, I've got on my left shoulder, like the rotator cuff, like when I went to see like the osteopaths, etc. before, they always said that, because I used to do sort of like a lot of striking, with sort of like boxing and so on, and martial arts bits. And then I'm right-handed, so my left hand used to sort of whip a lot, so it really pulled out quite a lot, it done a lot of damage to the bits around the shoulder.
Okay.
And then they were saying, you're going to have to go like annual like injections.
Oh.
So I was diagnosing myself, but would that kind of sort of thing be helpful with this in a sense? I know you haven't dug deep, but you mentioned about rotator cuff. Would that sort of injury benefit from something like that in a sense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, like if you look at Tony Robbins, like because he had that recurring. So,
okay.
So he said what OsteoStrong did for him, it actually fortified that joint by increasing ligament and tendon strength to support, and the surrounding muscles around that joint were well supported. So, in your case, Brad, I'm confident that OsteoStrong could fortify that joint again and prevent this becoming a recurring problem, and prevent you needing those injections.
Yeah, I mean that's quite insane, isn't it? Because the way, like we said about AI and such, the way it's developing, the awareness of all of these things that people are waking up to and realising, certainly for the body, mental, physical health, is becoming so vast now, isn't it? And these new ideas are coming out and so on to make people feel better and, stronger and so on, to prolong a healthier life, not perhaps the life, but certainly a healthier life,
Yeah, Brad, the biohacking space is exploding. Medical science has changed so much over the last 10 years. And a lot of this technology we haven't had access to. It's been locked up in high-performance centers in Switzerland and really restricted for athletes or, people that have very specific conditions may get access to this in the US. But now wellness centers like ours have made this technology readily available. Things like that we offer too are like red light therapy. Have you heard of red light therapy?
I have. That's also a big thing, isn't it? Last couple of years, that's been really big. Is this part of that process?
It's part of what we do, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Because OsteoStrong is really a wellness center that provides access to this biohacking technology. Red light therapy is a big part of that.
Right.
Another one that you'll find interesting is PMF therapy, which stands for pulsed electromagnetic field therapy.
I've not heard of that one. What's that?
And that is, it's what it is. It's a mat that you lie on, and it emits this very low intensity magnetic field, and it increases your energy at a cellular level. So it really creates the right internal environment for your body to perform more optimally. So nutrients are absorbed more easily, toxins are released more easily, and all your biomarkers improve through that. So we see really good results with PMF therapy as well. It actually comes out of NASA. The astronauts used it as quickest way to restore their bone health, because an astronaut could lose 20-30% of their bone density as well in one mission. Yeah. And they used PMF to do this as a way to safely, quickly restore bone health. And then they realized they were experiencing a whole lot of other benefits.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. Some of this new stuff that's coming out, long gone are the days of just popping down the gym or going for a quick walk, isn't it? There's so much more that you can benefit from.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that more awareness has come around this sort of thing? It's such a short space of time, like the ice bath, the hot and cold therapy, and then like you said, the infrared, and then now this. Now, why do you think that is? It's sped along quite a lot, hasn't it, recently?
Yeah, it really has, and I think that something needed to change, because I think people were suffering with bone health issues younger and younger, suffering with all sorts of conditions that were experiencing an onset earlier and earlier. And I think it's because we're living more sedentary lifestyles. We're not as active as what we were.
Yes.
Less impact exercises. We used to, and when we're younger, it's not an issue. We're running around jumping out of trees. I haven't seen too many adults jumping out of trees recently. So our bodies miss that impact, and kids playing TV games, those kind of things when they used to be jumping out of trees.
I suppose so. Yeah,
and so young, and you start to build bone density and muscle density from quite a young age. So what you do between the ages of 15 and 30 really counts. And if you get that wrong, then you have an earlier onset of these different conditions. So I think people realized something needed to change. And then, I think there were a lot of resources were put into finding better ways to improve and using, a lot of the good technology we've got available to us. How they could improve our health.
That's it. Yeah. And with, so talk us through, so how does it work? Let's say, for instance, I come to you and I'm like, okay, right, I'll do it. Is it 15 minutes? It was 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
So what would be the process then?
Yeah.
What would be the process?
So we'll start off doing an assessment because we want to understand your health history. We want to understand there's no contraindications, and we want to understand what your health goals are. And then establish, are we a good fit? And so we'll do a couple of strength tests. We'll do a bone density scan because people, that's really a good place to start your journey, knowing what your bone strength is. Because nobody knows.
In order to go forward, you need to find out where you are currently, isn't it? To know what to improve. Yeah, that makes sense.
So then we know your starting point and we know where you want to get to. And then we will have a personalized program for you based on that.
Right.
And when you come for your sessions, then that will be the goal, is to make sure that we are all working towards achieving that health goal that you've set.
Yeah.
Your victory condition.
Yeah. So what would you do then? So what? Would you strap me up? You should have bought a machine. We could have called this.
Yeah. They're quite big.
Oh, okay. Maybe not then.
Maybe stronger, but not that strong.
So what's the process? Right.
Yeah, there's 4 machines. So you'll actually start off on what's called a power plate, which is whole body vibration. And that's to activate your body, prime your central nervous system, and get blood circulation going so that you're ready for the osteogenic loading session. And then there's 4 machines, one for your upper body, one for your lower body, one for your core, and one for your spine. And you'll literally spend just a couple of minutes on each machine, but on each one, you'll go to your maximum force. And you've got a screen in front of you showing you exactly how much force you're applying in real time. So you've got full biofeedback on what's happening, and you'll be able to see exactly how much force you're applying, but you'll have a goal because you'll want to hit 4 times a multiple of your body weight will be the goal. And you'll be able to see that on the screen. And when you hit that level of force, you'll be able to see it straight away, and you'll know that you've triggered your body to make for this natural adaptation to occur.
That's crazy.
And then you'll finish off, once you've done the 4 machines, you'll finish off on the whole body vibration again. And very often there, we'll do more targeted training like balance training, strength training, and different things to, depending on what your goals are. But we focus quite heavily on balance as well, because for most of us, our balance is a lot worse than what we think it is.
Yeah, that's it.
And fall prevention is a big part of what we do as well. So, and for whatever sports you do as well, balance really has a big impact to play.
Yeah, it's so true you say that, actually, because my mum has this thing where she is a bit fearful of falling because she fell a couple of times. And then when she asked me, what should I do in the gym? And I was like, okay, just things like single leg stuff, farmer carries, all that sort of thing. But also lay down on the floor and then get up from the floor without any aid.
Yes.
Because then your fear is, if I fall, okay, you might hurt yourself, but how am I going to get back up?
Yeah.
So if you overcome that fear as well, then it's almost like, okay, well, if I fall over, okay, I might get a cut or a bruise, but I know that I can get up in this way, whatever it is, you know? So it's building that muscle memory or that strength to get back up, isn't it, really, you know?
That's a huge thing, you know?
Yeah.
In the US, there's a very well-known longevity expert, Peter Attia, and he talks about thinking about your life and thinking about the last 10 years of your life. And he calls it the quantum decade. And he said we should all be training like athletes for that quantum decade, because it'll determine how the last 10 years of your life play out. Are you going to be in a mobility scooter? You know, no one plans to be in a mobility scooter.
No.
You know? So plan not to be in one. Yeah.
And I see. So you mean not previous 10, you mean...
From now,
my last 10. What's my last 10 at the end of the road, if you like?
Exactly.
God, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
that's
so that
powerful.
Last decade,
Yeah.
How that plays out is determined by the actions you take now. And having that realization is a game changer, because it will really impact the decisions you make now on what exercise you choose, what you eat, how you sleep. All those lifestyle choices. But exercise, VO2 max, he says, is number one, and strength, muscle strength, number two. And of course, bone strength and muscle strength work hand in hand. If you've got weak bones, you've got weak muscles. You know, so strength and VO2 max are things you want to keep monitoring to know where you are, so that because they're going to drop off. And so you want to know where you are now, and you want to know where you need to keep them, and then keep measuring that every year.
Yeah, I heard it said, I can't remember where I heard it or whether I read it, but it's like, think about what you're doing today and the next sort of like 5 years, and try and make it that the 65-year-old or the 75-year-old you will thank you for doing. Yeah. And it kind of aligns exactly what you just said, because it's like, okay, even eating, you can have a bad snack once in a while. Who doesn't? You know, we all love it. But it's kind of like, as long as you have like a bit of a core fundamental structure that's going to benefit you in the long term, and that lifestyle, that identity in a sense of like, I am a person that goes to the gym, I'm a person that walks X amount of steps, whatever it is, or I'm a person that goes to OsteoStrong, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah. But it's really funny. Because so my granddad, before he passed, very super fit guy, amazingly fit guy, and his last few years. So I suppose it actually goes back to what you said about planning your last 10 years. How do you want it to be? He could barely walk up 3 steps before taking a break for a long time, and then taking the next few steps. And I remember seeing him one time, and I'm like, oh, I hope I never get like that, because it'd be so sad. I could like run upstairs now, no problem. But fast forward 30, 40 years, and you can barely do 3 without taking a very long pause. And like it's so strange, isn't it? When you have that awareness, you can plan for it. But so many people don't have that awareness. And that's the thing. That's bringing awareness to the likes of OsteoStrong, weights, and so on, the benefits of all of these things.
Because it does creep up on you. It's not a sudden
Time
thing.
Flies, doesn't it? It really does. So you've got to plan for this.
Totally. And I think it all changes when you don't have the strength to get out of a chair. That's what I've observed. Because then suddenly you need help, you know, and you need help pretty much 24/7, you know, and that's when you end up in a care home or something like that. And I've got a friend who has a dad in a care home like that, and I've been with him a couple of times on those visits and chatted to some of the people, and it's been interesting chatting to them. One common theme that I've seen is them talking about their dream trip that they always planned to do but never got to do.
Oh, that's sad.
To the Antarctica or something really amazing, and they talk about that they never got to do that trip. So you got to find ways to stay strong.
Yeah.
And take that trip now.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think my own, probably, there's many fears, isn't it? I suppose you don't know what you don't know until you've realised what you don't know. But it's one of my fears is that I'm sitting in a chair and I'm like, I don't know, 75, 80, whatever it is. And I suddenly, exactly like what you just said, I realise I should have done something and now it's too late for me to do that thing.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of like I'm just proactively trying to do as much as I can because like I look at life and it's like it's a passage of time.
Yeah.
So, and then when you look at like how long the world's been going, it's like, what is it, 7,000 years, whatever it's been going. And then you think your life is a tiny speck.
Yeah.
So it's a very short journey in the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
So you want to maximise it as much as possible because there's so many great things to do and see.
Yeah.
But then it's great having these ideas and being able to. You might be financially able to do these things, but your body might be saying, "Well, you can't even get out of a chair."
Yeah. Yeah.
Then what? You're stuck. You know, that's the thing, isn't it?
That is true.
So it's planning for those,
Yeah.
just trying to be as healthy and as strong as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But I think it's great that things like OsteoStrong and the awareness to the infrared, the whole cold therapy, all these great things that, and I'm sure with excess, you can always, there's always perhaps a negative effect. Like they say, too much ice bath is actually negative. Too much weightlifting is negative, certainly on the joints and that sort of thing, definitely for sure. You look at some of the big weightlifters of sort of like 70s and 80s and they're barely walking now, you know, those sorts of things. But I think in moderation and a fair amount, just to keep you on that journey and enable you to live the life that you really truly want to live in a nice, healthy way, surely is a great thing, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it is about finding that balance, you know, and I think even for people that are very active, doing multiple sports, training very hard in the gym, very often I think that we neglect the amount of time we need to restore our bodies and recover. And that overtraining, it can sometimes, I think, be just as harmful. And that's why OsteoStrong sessions are once a week, because if you're experiencing almost impact levels of force, you've got to give your body time to recover.
Yeah.
And we know that our respiratory system, you recover in an hour or two. Muscles, maybe that sort of myofibril activation, you need maybe a day or two. But bones, osteoblasts, which are the bone building cells, they work for 5-6 days. So you don't want to interrupt that process. So the science has taught us once a week is optimum. You know, a lot of people want to come do OsteoStrong 2-3 times a week, and we've got to hold them back and say, no, you need that period to get the maximum benefit. So,
I think that's similar to the awareness around sleep as well, isn't it? Like how much your body recovers when you sleep, and people are waking up a little bit more to that. Well, pardon the pun, sleep and waking up, but you know, like they're waking up. Certainly, bring that awareness to it because they're seeing the benefits of that, allowing the body to rest. Because when it rests, it has some of its best results. Yeah. So I guess it's the same with what you do, because it's quite intense, isn't it? It's really intense. So your body needs the right amount of time to recover from that. So if you're pounding it again a couple of days later, you're not really, like you said, it's overtraining in a sense, isn't it?
It's a very short interval, but we're still dealing with very high levels of force. And it's easy to underestimate that. Yeah. And I mean, when I heard about OsteoStrong, 15 minutes once a week, I was like, man, this sounds like BS, you know?
I was going to say,
you know, how can that really move the needle? Yeah. You know? And then we just started hearing about all the results, and these friends of ours got these great results, and we were like, you know, we did some research, and there were just thousands of testimonials of people raving about the results. They're reversing all sorts of conditions that they thought were permanent. And then we realized this is a different mindset, you know, that it doesn't have to be, we're conditioned to think no pain, no gain, you know, if we're not sweating it out, nothing's happening. But this was a different approach, you know, like that is not always the case.
It sounds like it kind of goes much deeper than, like you said, the sweating it out kind of thing, you know, like something on the surface. It goes much deeper, doesn't it, really, in that sense?
Yeah, your body likes impact, you know, and when it experiences high levels of impact or force, a whole cascade of benefits starts happening. Our growth hormone, these massive strength gains, and bones are amazing. You know, we just think bones are these kind of frames that hold us up. Yeah. But bones, they are a mineral store for our bodies. If our bodies need minerals, they pull it from our bones. So it's a mineral store for our bodies. and they release all sorts of proteins into our muscles. So our bones play many, many roles in our bodies. So it's really an interesting. You got to treat them like all the other organs in your body, and maintain bone strength.
Would you say that there's anything that, let's say, for instance, if they come to OsteoStrong or a similar thing, whatever it is there any other way that they could perhaps adopt a routine in a gym or adopt a certain way of eating or diet or food or anything like that would have a same or similar effect?
So, in a gym, so we aim to hit 4 times a multiple of your body weight. So,
body weight, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So in a gym, in theory, you could do that.
Well, I'm 92 kilos. So, what was that, like 368 kilos? I guess I got my maths right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to lift 368 kilos.
Even an Olympic weightlifter, I think, would struggle to hit that.
Definitely.
And that's the trouble. And that's, from all the science behind it and the research being done, those are the levels of force required. And so you end up with this sort of what I call the load gap, how much load is required and how much load you can realistically generate safely in doing traditional exercise. And that's what OsteoStrong does. It bridges that gap, allows you to create those levels of force without the stress and strain and risk of injury.
And what about diet or types of food or certain foods?
Yeah, so that's a really important one, Brad, and it's something we talk about a lot with our members, because you can be hitting these high levels of force and getting that right stimulus, but if you don't have the right nutrition to support that protocol, you're not going to get the best results, because effectively you're now making your bones hungry and they're going to be pulling in all this nutrition. If it's not available, it's not going to happen. So we focus a lot on minerals, because obviously that's your bones are made up largely of mineral content and protein. So protein is super important, and as we get older, we eat less and less. People tend to eat less and less protein. So we try and offer some guidelines for people. Obviously, everyone's different, and we work quite a lot with local nutritional therapists to bring in their expertise, so that to make sure people are getting the best possible results. And there's some minerals, some trace minerals that are really important for bone, like boron, and it's not just calcium. There's some really important other trace minerals, which are quite hard to get from our food these days, that you have to supplement for.
Because I think that's one of the things that people probably don't want to assume, as it's a quick fix.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to increase my strength. I go along to this for 15 minutes and then that's it. I'll see you next week. I'm done.
Yes.
It's like when you go to the gym, isn't it? You think, I think it's like a stat. I think it's like 15 or 20% of it is done in the gym. 80 or 85% is done in the kitchen, kind of thing.
Yes.
That thing.
Yeah.
But I would guess it's similar, isn't it? It's kind of like an add-on to a great, healthy lifestyle.
Definitely.
Like, gym a few times a week, get your steps up once a week. OsteoStrong, and then also become a person that eats, 100 whatever your right amount of protein is, to complement all of your effort. It's having that balance, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, Brad. You've got to look at it holistically,
Definitely,
to get the best results, you can't come to OsteoStrong for 15 minutes a week, do nothing else the whole week.
And have donuts and cakes and think you're going to see miracles. Yeah, exactly. That's it. You've got to feed it right.
Yeah. So nutrition, we talk about 4 pillars of bone health, So definitely the right stimulus is the one, which is exercise. The second one is nutrition, that you're getting the right minerals and enough protein and enough hydration, all of those things. The third one is hormones. Hormones play a big role.
Okay, it's a big one.
It's a big one for men and women. Because once the estrogen is, one of the important builders of bone. So for a woman, when that drops off, that has a dire effect on bone health. So for women, hormone replacement therapy is a important consideration. And even for men, when our bone health when our testosterone drops, our bone health drops off in the same way. Just
that's
later.
Connected. Wow.
Yeah, very much so.
Do you think that's probably because there's a lot of talk of testosterone now going on about awareness and certain scientific things? Testosterone is a big subject now, isn't it?
Very much so. Yeah. For men and women.
Yeah.
You know, it's equally important. But for men, that drop off is when our bone health suffers the most. But for women, it's more about estrogen. But all of those hormones have an effect. So, and then the fourth one, which is also really important, is good lifestyle choices like sleep. Sleep underpins all of this. And of course, alcohol and smoking also not great for bone health. So really, we talk about those 4 pillars of bone health, and we try to provide some education and encouragement around all of those things to make sure that people are staying on track. And we're real health geeks. We really we try to measure. We're measuring the stuff all the time, and we're really trying to make sure that people are getting the results they came for and more.
Just on sleep as well, from my own experience, because I've got the Whoop band, and I've had it. I had it for about 2 years. I have had it for about 2 years.
Band?
The Whoop band.
Oh, the Whoop, yeah.
The Whoop. Sorry, Whoop. Yeah, it's a Whoop band, and I've had it for about 2 years. And when I first got it, it was a new fad, and I was like, oh yeah, great, it tells me how to sleep, etc. Then after a while, I got too addicted to the numbers, and I actually then went the other way. I started ignoring the numbers, and then I cancelled my subscription for a few months, and I thought, right. At the beginning of last year, I thought, right, I'm gonna really focus on it. I'm gonna listen to what it tells me. Yeah. And then, as time went on, what I realised is when I listened to exactly what it said, or I followed exactly what it said about sleep, even right down to because I used to get up about 5 a.m. And it then turned out that it was saying to me to get up at 5:47 or 5:51 or something like that. I'm like, that's too late. I thought, I'll push things back. Let me give it a go. It was amazing. The difference in it was crazy. So but like you said about alcohol, and I'm not a smoker, and I'm not really a big drinker, really, with alcohol consumption. But when I do go out, and I might go out with some friends or something, if I've got like 1 or 2 beers, it literally, one of my elements goes into red. And then it tells me that it's either you're coming down with illness or alcohol consumption, all this stuff. It just knows, and it just measures it all from the heartbeat.
Brilliant.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great tech.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And what was really, really brilliant out was because one of the biggest things I realised was, I know there's so much information, but you know what it's like? Sometimes when people tell you something, you're like, oh, that sounds interesting. But when you actually experience it yourself and you see the benefits, you're like, okay, they actually know what they're talking about now. So it's crazy. Yeah. And that was
it's
all.
Real.
Exactly. Because I followed exactly what it said with the sleep. Yeah. And I just felt so much better. And on the mornings that I can't follow what it says, that day, I don't feel as sharp.
Okay.
It's crazy.
So how many hours were sort of optimum for you, Brad?
Just about 7, just under 7, like 6 hours 50, kind of 6 hours, between that sort of time. Okay. And it kind of gets me into, because what I read about, when I started reading up about, I've got to read up about this stuff, and it was all to do with your circadian rhythm. Yeah. Going to bed at the exact same, or roughly the same time, waking up at roughly the same time. Yeah. And because then I used to think, okay, do you know what? I'd have all of less amount of sleep that I needed in a week, and at the weekend I'll catch it up. Yeah. And then Saturday and Sunday I'd feel drained. I'm like, I'm drained just from the week. Yes. But then when I followed it, it was telling me to get up at 7 on a Sunday. I was like, are you crazy? And then I thought, you know what? I'll follow what it says. Yes. I had a great day.
Brilliant.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. It's just how it works. Yeah. It's insane.
They're around 7 hours. That's sort of the sweet spot for me as well.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. Yeah. And also, sometimes if I miss a few minutes, like sometimes I look before I go to bed, it says to me when I should be getting up in the morning. I've done it this morning, and it's something like 6:57. I was like, okay, right, set me an alarm, 6:57. Do you know what I mean? You get up, you think, okay, and you wake up feeling a bit better because you think, well, I've had what it suggests. And it's bang on, So it's really good. It's a really good
it really
way of
everything.
awareness. Yeah, and realising it yourself, because then when you don't feel great because you perhaps not had best of sleep, or you don't respect it in a way, you suddenly might skip the gym. Yes. You might skip, I don't know, perhaps not eating or following a good programme of food, or making better decisions. Yeah, now you make perhaps not so great decisions, and then you start coming down, and then it turns out to be not a great day. So it's all of those sort of things that kind of come into it.
There's this ripple, definitely has a ripple effect.
Definitely, that's
no
it.
Question. Yeah.
So what would you say was, sorry, it made it about me, it's not, it's about you. So what would you say is sort of the long-term vision for OsteoStrong?
So I would say, the UK, I would say, is definitely on the brink of a real skeletal crisis. Because the trouble with people with low bone density conditions like osteopenia, which is the precursor to full-blown osteoporosis, they get the first line of defense is very reactive, and people get given medication for it. And it's pretty invasive stuff, and that it really masks the problem too, which is why people are only allowed to take it for a couple of years and then they have to come off it. So it's a massive problem, and it costs the NHS like, I think it's in the region of like 300 million pounds a year. So
wow.
And the stats are scary. They reckon 1 in 2 women will suffer an osteoporotic fracture in her lifetime, and 1 in 5 men. And so it's an enormous problem. So we solve a problem that is a growing problem. And honestly, I think more and more people need to have access to this technology, need to understand it, and need to understand that there are alternatives to medication. They can do this safely, naturally, in a very effective and efficient way. So, Tunbridge Wells is the flagship center, OsteoStrong. This market is very important for OsteoStrong as the fastest growing biohacking organization in the world. And ideally, we want to see an OsteoStrong in all the big towns in the UK so that people have access to this technology. And we get a call, I would say, every second day from someone who is just on the too far away to be able to get to us. They've done their research, they know that this is something that can help them, but it's just too far. So I think ideally, we really want to make this more accessible to people, and that's going to require multiple centers. The UK, could probably, in the US, there's about 200 centers. So, I think just in Los Angeles, I think there's 4 or 5 centers. So we really want to get to that point in the UK as quickly as possible, and we can help a lot of people and make a real impact.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome if you could do that, because certainly just listening to what the benefits are, I think many people can benefit from that. Certainly if even if they're either already living a healthy lifestyle or not, it's a good place to start for one. And if you're already doing to the gym, and it's a good add-on. So it kind of encapsulates everything, doesn't it? It really takes you to another level in whatever level you are at. You know?
Yeah. I mean, even if you've got daughters, particularly that are kind of between 20 and 30, if they do OsteoStrong, they're going to build what we call a bone bank. They're going to build this massive buffer that when it starts to drop off at 30, they're going to be in really good shape. They're basically, it's like an airplane that goes to a much higher altitude. They're going to suddenly have this buffer that they can come down from that they would never have had, and be much less likely to suffer from bone health trouble later in life.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
so
that's amazing. So, what would you say? So I've got 2 more questions. And I'll let you go. But yeah, cool. It's really fascinating. Thank you. But
thank you.
What would you say that you're sort of like? Is there a routine that you do? Like, what's your daily or morning routine that you would adopt, or do you adopt?
Yeah. So I'm a keen biohacker myself, obviously. So I start off actually on a PMF mat.
Right.
My day. I've got one that I lay down on my bed, switch it on, and then it delivers this low intensity magnetic field, and that I know optimizes my cellular energy, everything for the day. And so I start off like that, and then I will then go for generally just try and do some exercise straight away. So I've got a keen cyclist, so either the weather permitting, I'll go out and cycle. And or I've got an indoor trainer, which I'll jump on, and then do that, and then generally just try and get outside, as you say, to activate my circadian rhythm, look into the sun, get some sunshine, and then very often go out with the dog and just also breathe. So there's quite a well-known biohacker, Gary Brecker, and he talks about breath work. Yeah. So I do Gary's technique, and so that I made sure I've had fresh air. I've got some sunlight and done that breathing routine. And then I feel great. I'm fired up. I've got a lot of energy. I'm ready to go. So that's pretty much how I'll start my day, and then try to get some protein in. Quite quickly. Always try and incorporate protein into my breakfast so that I'm in an anabolic state, and I know that I've got that I'm basically feeding my body with what it needs from the get-go. Yeah,
that's a good solid routine. Certainly starts you off right, doesn't it? And I've kind of added a question here, but the protein part, the starting the day with the protein.
Yeah.
That's quite important, isn't it? I've read that somewhere. Like starting that off, isn't it? Like make it more protein rather than say like carb or fat or so, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah,
because it kind of then kickstarts your body that it's got the protein it needs to for energy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Otherwise, your body's in a catabolic state, so it's in a way of breaking down as opposed to building itself up.
Right.
So you want to try and incorporate protein in every meal, ideally, and breakfast is probably the most important one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So if I don't have time to do like a big cook up with eggs and things, then I'll just quickly bang a smoothie together.
Yeah.
With a whole lot of protein, with some plant-based protein powder, and then. And I love that. I'm like starting the morning with a milkshake, you know. So
it's a plus.
That's never hard.
So Ryan, where can people find you?
So we're in the High Street in Tunbridge Wells.
Yeah.
We're easy to find. We're a good landmark is the White Company in the High Street. We're directly next door to them, and of course. We're very active on all the social channels. So we're OsteoStrong Tunbridge Wells. You'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and we've got a wonderful website as well, osteostrongtw.co.uk. So we offer a free first session because no one's ever done osteogenic loading before.
Right.
We do say to people, well, just you've got come give it a try and learn about it, understand the science behind it, and get some first-hand experience, and then decide for yourself if this is something which will help you.
Well, Ryan, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been really interesting because when we spoke before, when you said about bone, I was like, I've got to speak to this guy. Surely not, But when you explain all the science and the proof and all that sort of stuff and the results that you've seen and many others, it's quite incredible. But then there's so much awareness around things that we probably wouldn't have even thought of, let's say, even 5 years ago. Yeah. So it's great to have that kind of awareness around the bone now. It's brilliant. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing the story. And yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a success, but you need to get some stores nearer London, I tell you, so we can all benefit from it,
Yeah,
otherwise you're going to make everyone in Tunbridge Wells super healthy, and, the London lot, they're going to be far behind. So, so thank you very much again, Ron. I appreciate it.
I've really enjoyed it, Brad. Thanks for having me on. It's been a great discussion, and yeah, let's stay strong, live long, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks.